What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry I've been out for a while. Been busy with the holidays and work and family stuff, so I've been out for a minute. But I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving, got everything they wanted for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I actually got a new camera, so let me know if these videos get a little better. But anyways, today we're going to continue on part 4 of the Atomic Fireball rebuild series. We'll start with getting this motor back together. And hopefully we can do that with not too many issues. So yeah, let's get started. Alright guys, first thing I'm going to do is clean up these case surfaces. What I use is a 3M gasket remover. This thing is called a roll-lock bristle disc. Yeah, it seems to remove all the gunk from the surfaces without actually chewing into the surface. So yeah, you pretty much use this on everything, which is why it's so worn out. But yeah, you can find these on Amazon. Okay, next I'm going to remove this brake pin. There's an O-ring in there that you gotta replace, or that I replace when I rebuild these things. So yeah, it's only this cotter pin holding it in place right here. Once you get that out, the pin will come right out. We'll replace the O-ring and we'll put it back together, and after that we'll get the bearings back on. Alright, so now I'm going to remove this cotter pin here. So pull the pin out. That. Pull the pin out. Yep, see these two O-rings right here? Yeah, we'll put new O-rings in. Put some new grease in there. Make sure it's all nice and free when you get it back together. Alright, got the pin out, wiped down. These actually look, I mean, these O-rings look okay, but I'll replace them anyway. They come with a kit. But since I have the pin out, let me clean this little cavity up a little bit. That's good enough. And also where the pin goes through. Cool, good. Alright, let's go and replace these O-rings. Well, I was wrong. It doesn't come with a full set of O-rings on this Stella gasket set. So, like I said, these are still okay. They're not all brittle or anything, so I will just reuse them. Just to save time. But I will put some new grease on it. And then we'll just reinstall it. Yeah, these are still good. Cool. Alright, got the O-rings back on. And grease these up. Reinstall the pin. All right. Actually need to put this brake arm back on. Clean that up a little bit. And this spring. Let's see here. Yeah. That. Reinstall the cotter pin. Okay. Bend it back around. All right. There you go. All right, next we'll put the bearings back in. All right, before I put the bearings back in, I'm gonna heat the case up a little bit, just to expand it a little bit so the bearing can go in easier. I believe the aluminum starts expanding about 175 degrees, so we'll try to get it that hot.
A few minutes later.
Let's see. 100 degrees. Let's see if this works anyway. Now we'll drift it in the rest of the way. Yep, that worked fine. Cool. Alright, so the snap ring actually had one sharp edge, one rolled edge. I usually do this sharp edge on the inside. I'm not sure if it actually makes a difference or not, but that's what I do. So make sure this is in there. It's actually seated correctly. I'm gonna tap it a little bit. Let's see. Like that. Cool, that's it. Next up, we'll put the hub bearing back in, and we'll be done with the bearings. Do the same thing. Heat this one up a little bit, make things easier.
A few moments later.
So I actually have the proper drifts for this in case it doesn't fall right in. Might need some persuasion. All right, I'll get this snap ring back in as well. Tap. All right, that's it. Bearings are back into the case. Okay, next up I'm gonna put this Cush drive back in. I know I said I was gonna may rebuild it in the last video, but I don't think there's anything wrong with this one, so I'm just gonna reinstall it. But to rebuild it, you have to drill all these pins out, and then open this up. You see a bunch of springs in there. Replace all the springs, and you kind of have to put new covers back on. Then you have to pin each pin back together. So yeah, just give me an idea what is involved if you do have to rebuild it. But I'll probably have to do that in another video on another build. This one, like I said, seems to be okay, so I will just reinstall it. So it goes in like this. That. Like this. Leave this side open. So remember in the last video, I removed all those little needles in the needle bearing. And now I got to put them all back in before I actually push this pin in and bolt it in place. So I like to put a little grease on this, I guess a Cush drive rod, I guess is what it's called. And I'll just put all these pins back in. So you kind of just put them in side by side until it goes all the way around. Then you push the rod in. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but just be patient, and it shouldn't be that bad. Be done in no time. Okay, so when you're done, it should look like that, with no gaps. Alright. Once that's all in there, you push the pin in, you'll see it comes out on the other side. I need a little tap. There you go. Make sure this is spinning nice and free. There you go, that's it. Cush drive reinstalled. So on the other side, it's got some hardware to actually bolt it back in place. So this should look something like this. That. Put the nut back on. I believe this is supposed to be 30 Newton meters. Once you get that on, you bend these tabs back around the nut and it'll lock it in place. Alright, so got my torque wrench here. Set it to 30 Newton meters. Tighten the nut. That's it. Like I said, now we'll bend the tabs down around the nut. This will hold in place. They do sell new hardware here, but I'll just reuse this. They seem to be in good shape. But you can replace them if you'd like. They're pretty cheap. Just like that. Locks that nut in place so it won't come out. Once you're done with that, make sure the Cush drive spins freely. Like that. And that's it. Cool. We'll put the crank seal on now, and then we'll put the crank back in. Alright, as far as the seals, I got this little kit from Alosi. I guess they're nicer than the standard blue ones. But I've used both. Never really had issues with either. So, this will go in like this. All right, and I like to put a little oil on the lip there to make it go in a little easier. Like this. This one actually has a metal lip. I do have a drift for this. It's right here. Alright. Make sure you hit this thing as square as you can as possible so you don't damage the seal. Case stand is moving. Almost there. All right, that's it. Okay, make sure you put some oil on the inner lip of that seal before you put the crank in, so it slides in a lot easier without catching that lip. Get the crank. Okay, before I reinstall any crank, I always check it on my truing stand here. In a previous video I've said any cranks within 4 thousandths variance is within spec. But this being a Mazzy crank, I believe it is within 2 thousandths. So this should be good to go. Cool. All right, I'll go ahead and put the crank back in. Again, make sure this lip of the seal here is nice and lubed up. And when I go put the crank in, it doesn't catch this and pop the spring out. The seal and also the crank. Doesn't hurt to put some on here too. Should be good. All right. I'll get the crank puller tool on it on the other side. What's going on here? Come on. There you go. Alright, had a lot of movement there, so I'm going to pull this back a little bit and take a look. Make sure I didn't pop anything out off the seal. Okay, that looks good. I'll tighten this nut. We'll slowly pull the crank back in with 2 crescent wrenches. Okay, so I've got my tool set up on this side. All you need to do is turn that one with a crescent wrench, but when you do this, make sure the rod's not hanging down here on the case like this, because if you're not paying attention to this and you're pulling the crank in, you're going to bend it or bend the rod. So I like to kind of put it this way, kind of like that. Put a zip tie here, just so you're holding it in the open area like that while you're tightening this down. Okay, like I said, keep an eye on it. Okay, put that there. Now we'll tighten this. Not too much movement. There you go. That's it. Bottomed out. Alright, there you go. Rod's in place. Alright, looks like the rod is in there and spinning pretty smoothly. Next up, put the oil sling back in. I believe that goes like this. Yep. So if you watched the last video, I did mention that this gear stack seemed very, very loose. As you can see, this is not normal. The tolerance between this snap ring and the shim here is supposed to be between 6 to 16 thousandths of an inch. So I've got my feeler gauges here. I've got the biggest ones out. These are 16 thousandths. So I'll put one here and one here. And I am still got a lot of play. So if you pay attention to the last video again, when I took the gear stack out of the engine case, I noticed a pile of sludge at the bottom of the gearbox, and I'm guessing it's from this being so loose. Just things just keep wearing against each other, being so loose, and just a bunch of metal shavings creating a pile of sludge. So yeah, we'll take this apart and see if we can re-shim it. Okay, to get the gear stack apart, remove the snap ring first. That shim. Fourth gear. I'm sorry, first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. So I have this apart, so I'm going to replace the cruciform as well. This one definitely needs it. It's pretty worn out. What the? Oh, well, that's not that's not good. That's not supposed to be loose. Good thing I took it apart to check this. All right, so to remove the shaft here, this is actually reverse thread. So you turn it clockwise to remove it. Let me grab a wrench. All right, I got my 17mm wrench. Again, it's a reverse thread, so I'm going to turn it clockwise to remove it. And hopefully this thing's not stripped. Looks okay. Cruciform comes out like this. This one's the same on both sides. That's down. The shim. All right. Okay, upon further inspection, I believe these gears were stacked wrong, which is why there's so much play. I checked another gear stack I had laying around, and yeah, it was totally off the way I removed it and stacked them. So I'll go ahead and reassemble it. Like I said, I do have a new cruciform. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna thread this onto the cruciform first, and then I'll take it off, and then I'll install it into the, I guess, lathe shaft. So let's get that out of there. Put this here. Remember, it's reverse thread, so counterclockwise is tightening it. I'll thread this on first, and I'll take it off, and then we'll actually reassemble it again. Just to make sure the threads are okay. Seems to be going in. Okay, good. Take this back off. All right. Make sure that's that way. This points up. All right. I'm going to reinstall it back in the lathe shaft. Okay, now that I have the cruciform pre-threaded with the rod, I'll go ahead and reassemble everything. So first thing is a shim. Shim down. Like that. Put the cruciform in. See this little round notch here? So the cruciform actually goes in there and twists because of that little round notch. Like that. Okay. Next, I'll wipe this off and put some red Loctite on there so it doesn't come off. Yeah, that's good. Remember, these are reverse thread. So, counterclockwise is actually tightening it. I'll put a screwdriver underneath just to hold it in place. And then I will tighten it. Just like that. Got Loctite in there. I should stay put this time. So after that, okay, to properly stack these gears, it's always the higher side facing up, okay, or facing out if you're looking at the case or in the case. So on this gear, you'll see, hopefully you can see it in the angle. So this side of the gear is higher, so that will face up. So that's fourth gear. This is third gear. Same thing. This side of the gear is higher than this side, looking at it. So again, it'll face up. Third gear. Sorry, second gear. Again, higher side, facing up. Now first gear, there's no higher side though, but if you look inside it, see there's teeth here. So there's no space on this side of the teeth. There is a space on this side of the teeth. So the teeth will actually face up. Okay, gap on the bottom of the tooth. So that section between here and here is neutral. So you'll see if I hold in that opening right there between the two gears, that's neutral. And then you got first gear, and then second gear, third gear, and so forth. All right, after that, put the other shim on. And then last but not least, the snap ring. Okay, again, there's a rolled side and a flat or a sharp side, so I'll do the rolled side out. Flat side against the shim. I don't know if it makes a difference, but that's what I'm gonna do. There you go. Make sure that's in there. So now that the gears are actually stacked right, I don't have so much freaking play. All right, and now I go and take my feeler gauges. I'll go to 16th thou. It won't even fit between the shim and the circlip or the snap ring. Okay, I'll go to the least amount, which is 0.6 thou. I don't have a 6 thou here, but let me see here. Nope. The heck? Oh, there's 6 thou. 6 thousandths will fit, I believe. Yes, 6 thou fit. So, like I said, within spec is between 6 to 16 thou. So that should be good. Now we can actually reinstall it in the case. Yeah, way much better. Yeah, you never know what you find in these cases or in these motors that people have taken apart. Yeah, luckily I decided to rebuild this thing rather than just get it running. So yeah, now that you got that problem fixed, we'll move on to or we'll continue reassembly. Alright guys, that's all the time I have for this thing tonight. As you can see, engine building is a very long and tedious process, so it takes up a lot of time. So we'll have to do this in multiple parts. Yeah, if you guys have enjoyed the video so far, please again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.